This is a very broad definition of what a middle manager is. The link between senior management and junior levels of the organization. They're really involved in, I mean, every aspect of execution. Love to hear from all of you, though. Are any thoughts about kind of how you define them in your organization? Are there certain ranks that you do include in middle management?
At Goodyear, it's often considered being a leader of a leader. And we do have, job levels, but I think the job architecture does not always make it crystal clear. So oftentimes it's looking at who is in your sphere of influence. Can you influence up, down, and sideways?
This is Christy from Oshkosh. I can share that similarly, we can't define it in one simple way. We have realized that even at our senior leader level, we've got some folks who maybe aren't necessarily leaders of leaders. So that's a little bit too narrow of a scope for us. We're trying to broaden how we view kind of this mid-level professional, because in some cases, they may not even be a people leader. They might just have a large amount of responsibility or influence across the organization.
Has anybody read Casey's book or even knew it was existed? Kelly, what's your reflection if you've cracked it open already?
I have barely cracked it open, but I am looking forward. I just did a flip open and it said, my personal favorite, do not apologize. Yes, I put this in caps. Don't apologize when giving feedback. Very true.
So we did a pretty extensive set of research, some rounds of interviews, and then some surveys. And the top 5 things that we heard from leaders of leaders themselves were, number one, holding their teams accountable. And doing that in a way, I mean, this ties to feedback, it ties to building an environment of trust, creating teams of people that are going to work well together, great systems of operation, but doing so in a way that doesn't erode the people connection. So those things are often looked at too much as a dichotomy, or things that are not kind of congruent.
How does this resonate with the people on this session?
I think the
Anything.
accountability thing is big. So when we talked to senior leaders and asked about development of capabilities for mid-level leaders, the accountability was one of the top things that showed up.
One of the discussions that we had, what is the ideal cohort size? And we've seen a lot of different. And Alan, if you want to jump in and kind of moderate and reflect, because you've done a lot of research in this area also.
The one thing I would say, we've done a lot of experimentation over a bunch of years with pretty much every size group in here. And I think I could give some standard answers that we concluded, but those answers may not apply to everybody. But I'll give you a simple one. For me, optimal size cohort that we've tested is 50 plus or minus 20. What that means is 30 to 70 people. And what we found is if you get less than 30, the structured dialogue. So the affordance of cohort-based learning, whether we do it online, in person, however we're doing it, is that we get to talk in ways like we're doing today.
So we talked about considerations of cohort size, length, other considerations. Kelly was the one that said, hey, scaling. And are others finding that scaling is important?
So I think that typically organizations have focused on the high potential leaders, which isn't as much of an issue of scale. But I do think that with the increased competition for talent, there's this additional wanting to provide more to more people. And, certainly as coming from an organization that offers some stuff for managers in general, but focuses mostly on hypos.